Yes, that is right. The Survivor Know-It-Alls are back together here after episode number 12. My loved one is here, Stephen Fishback.
Oh my God, it's a thrill to be back. It was painful being away last week, and so delightful to be here again.
Good. And happy to hear those words come from you, Stephen. And also, I feel like that this is the first time in the history of Survivor Know-It-Alls that you are wearing short sleeves.
I think I wore a t-shirt once because I had that correcting your grammar. But other than that,
what a hit that was.
Yeah. And so, people are still talking about that hilarious grammar correction.
Yes. So I think a lot to talk about here tonight as we had a big move on the table. It did not happen. It looked like that things were going one way. And obviously we saw that the swing votes in Laurel and Donathan decided they voted with the majority, with Wendell and Dominic and Seabass here, 5-3. And Chelsea, Stephen Fishback, gone too soon. Robbed Goddess.
Yeah. Bring back Chelsea.
Bring back Chelsea. Not soon enough.
Yes, I'm saying that sincerely. And the laughter is not in any way indicative of my sincerity. Hey, the big news of the night was Seabass. You know, we all assumed that he was just like a Navidi number or Navidi pawn. Here he is voting against the Navidi majority. I felt like that actually was like the story of the night. You know, I mean,
really?
We've seen, the actual story.
Dominic and Wendell are Navidi.
Right, but he voted. That's true. That is true. But he voted against, rather than vote against. I guess that's true. I guess his options were Navidi or Navidi.
Yeah, and so he stuck with the guys as opposed to going off with the women. But we've really never had our finger on the pulse of what he's doing. We thought that he was a showmance with Jenna half the season.
And then he votes her out. Apparently calls her chunky.
Yeah, that was in Ponderosa, on her way to Ponderosa. She mentioned that. So a lot to get to. We'll break it all down and talk about all of the second guesses from tonight. Of course, we'll take your questions as well. Hashtag RHAP. You can post your question in the chat room. Scott St. Pierre is standing by to take care of all of that. But Stephen, I know everybody is waiting to hear from Chelsea in the Survivor exit interview. We heard another confessional from her tonight. But Stephen, I have some breaking news.
Oh, I'm already guessing. No,
are you on pins and needles?
It's not true.
Oh wait, hold on. That's not even plugged in. Yeah, some breaking news tonight at this hour. Stephen Fishback. I have to report that I have been informed that Chelsea will not be appearing.
Now, are you joking?
The exit interview.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding.
Invisible, even in her exit interview, she truly is the most invisible.
So I think we were all looking forward to hearing from her. Nobody has been a bigger Chelsea fan this season than me, and for some reason, we have not heard. We will not be hearing from her on Rob Has a Podcast. I have been forwarded that she is going to be on a plane during our scheduled interview time.
You can't reschedule? Is you going to be on a plane for the next 2 weeks?
I'm available. I'm open all day.
Here's the thing. I actually am I think we are all curious where Chelsea was, right? It seemed like when we saw her that she had her finger on the pulse of what was happening in the game. She seemed to be at the center of a lot of alliances. Obviously, Wendell and Dominic tonight thought she was a bigger threat and a bigger target than Kellen. So, I want to hear why. And I'm heartbroken.
We will be getting email questions back from her over email. So we will have the exit interview podcast. And when those answers come in, we will be joined once again by Liana Boris, the chief RHAP player of the exit interview dramatic reading.
Oh, how exciting.
So we'll have Liana. We'll have fun with that. That's going to be coming up on Thursday. But then, of course, a great batch of podcasts coming up to talk about all of this as well. Your friend and mine, Michael Snow, will be joining me on the recap.
Oh, I love Michael Snow.
It's been 10 seasons since Michael Snow played, and happy birthday tonight to Michael Snow.
Happy birthday. And as a birthday present, you've decided for the first time this season to not have a millennial or a Gen Xer on the podcast.
Oh, well, you're about like 10 weeks late to the party with that joke.
Oh, I just learned the joke.
Yeah.
I was so excited about the joke.
It's already on to season 35, by the way. Keep up with the times. Okay. And then we were going to be joined by the great Bryce Isaiah, who once upon a time it was, oh, why do you always have all these Survivor Cagayan people on the show?
They're the best.
Yes. Bryce Isaiah is going to join me on the podcast. So very excited that he made purple cool before even Chelsea did, when he was the purple pants badass.
Yes, the original purple pants badass.
Yeah, so the fun week of podcasts coming up. Steven, so I really want to talk about this tribal council, and I know you want to talk about Seabass and what he was up to.
I don't really need to talk about Seabass that much. I mean, the big story of this episode is, it's like the recurring story. One of the big stories of this whole season has been, when is this duo of Laurel and Donathan going to make their move, if ever?
Yeah. And that was really, and Laurel really laid out the conundrum of, with this group, with Kellen's group, it's less of a sure thing, but I've got a better chance to win.
Yes.
Or I could go with Dominic and Wendell, and it's much more of a sure thing, but less likely than I'll win. And you really feel like when you hear a survivor talk in those terms, that you would think the conventional wisdom is going to be they will go along for the path. If they recognize those are the two options, you would imagine that they would open the door that is less of a chance to get to the end, but a much better chance to win.
Yeah, it is. It's a really scary proposition. And I have been in this position, and I try not to minimize the times that I say, I was in this exact spot, but I was in this exact spot in Cambodia where I had this one group of people on my left with the Jeremys and the Spencers, who I knew I could trust. Well, the Jeremys I knew I could trust, but they would beat me at the end. Then you had the witches who I knew I couldn't trust, but I thought I could beat. And I did that thing, that the opposite of what Laurel did. I made the move. I tried to destabilize the game, and then I was voted out. So it's scary. Like, you have to get to the end to win at the end. And I'm sure that Laurel thinks that she sees like some path to get to the end. Maybe it is Seabass and Donathan, but this fire making challenge really makes everything so difficult to predict, plus knowing that both Wendell and Dominic so fire making means there's no vote at the final four. Both Wendell and Dominic have idols. The last time they can play them, I think, is the final five. That means realistically, she only has 2 tribal councils to get out both of these guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a lot. Steven, I want to, do you relate to Laurel at all based on the situation that you were in Tocantins when it was a final 2 and not a final 3? But did you feel that way at all about going to the end with JT, where it felt like, okay, well, if I get to the end, this is more of a safe thing? And I know JT was immune down the stretch, but it would have been, had he not been immune, less of a sure thing to get to the end, but a better chance to win.
I think it's very different. I mean, I don't want to go too down the rabbit hole of Tocantins, because I mean, there I thought I was in a great position at the final 4. If I'd backstepped JT, I would have been the next person gone. I don't think that's totally analogous to where Laurel is right here. But it is scary. Like, on the one hand, because it's like, let's say she does. I think we all were shouting at the screen, Laurel, make the move, vote for Wendell. But if she does that, do we really think that Kellen and Chelsea and Angela are going to take her to the finals with them? Absolutely not. What do you think is the right move here, Rob?
You know what? I think that they should have pulled the trigger tonight. And here's the twist, though. I don't think they should have voted out Wendell. I think that the move would have been for Kellen and Donathan to, for Laurel and Donathan to vote with the girls and vote out Seabass tonight, because I think that it was really a bad night for Laurel and Donathan, because it seems like, hold on a second, we were talking about they were in a final 4 with Dominic and Wendell. Now here's Seabass also, and he, I believe, might be more loyal to Dominic and to Wendell, who were original Navidi, than he is to Laurel and Donathan. So if push comes to shove and these 2 pairs need to vote somebody out at 5, I think now that Seabass could be somebody who votes with Dominic and Wendell and is feeling like the third amigo there, and Laurel and Donathan may have been pushed down a peg tonight.
I don't agree with you. I think that, like, if her move is to recognize that she's in a losing position and to take out someone who could beat her at the end, then she's got to take out someone who can beat her at the end. To recognize she's in a losing position and then to take out someone who isn't really relevant to her endgame chances, like Seabass, I think is like it's not doing anything. She's backstabbing the two guys, Wendell and Dominic, who are her alliance, and she's removing someone who she could possibly beat at the end. I actually think the move was to take out Wendell and then not to I mean, I think people are thinking of it rather binarily. You know, on the one hand, you take out Wendell and then you go with the Navidi girls, or on the other hand, you take out Chelsea and you go with the Navidi guys. But I actually think there's a way, you know, the ideal circumstance, and again, this is very much easier to say from, you know, this side of the TV screen, is why not take out Wendell this week and then next week flip back? You know, what are Dominic and Seabass going to do? They're going to have the same urgency of getting rid of like Chelsea and Kellen. Just flip back.
But the issue is that Wendell has an idol. Laurel knows he has an idol. He's on high alert. I think it really hurt their cause that Dominic won immunity. So I think Wendell is sitting there. He told us going into tribal council, if anybody looks at me funny, I'm playing my idol. Right. Then he got enough assurances that he felt, I mean, he's got a good read on everybody. He knew that Laurel and Donathan were with them. I believe that he would have been able to sniff it out if they actually did flip away from them. So I don't think that that was a realistic possibility to go ahead and get Wendell this week. That's why I like the idea of going after Seabass. Really, if you go back a week, though, the real missed opportunity is from Kellen. When she had the 2 votes, she had the extra vote, and nobody knew she had it. She knew where Michael's vote was going to go on Wendell. For her to vote against Laurel this week and then realize in this episode, oh, we've got to take out Wendell. She had him dead to rights. She could have put her 2 votes on Wendell, and Wendell would have been out of the game with his idol this week.
Wait, why? Tell me why. I want to hit that, but tell me, I didn't give full, you know, I wanted to hear why Seabass, like, you know, vis-a-vis like my point about him neither being a threat to win nor a threat in any other way. Why vote for Seabass? Like, what does that accomplish for Laurel? Because in my mind, it's like Seabass has the opposite position in the game, where Seabass is someone who, after she votes out a Wendell, maybe Laurel can play with. You know, Seabass is willing to vote against the Navidi women. Maybe Laurel can loop him into her plans.
Because he's just not attached to Laurel or Donathan in any way, that he has only Navidi ties. So he could go back and be a number for the Kellen side, or now he's a number for the guys in Dominic and Wendell. And Donathan was there. He knows that Donathan starts talking about, okay, this is my final group with Seabass now all of a sudden. And if I'm Donathan, I'm like, hey, and Donathan really didn't, maybe he was like, okay, this is great. Now I'm going to the end with Dominic and now Seabass, but it's just another number in the mix where you had a final 4 and now it's a final 5. And unless, you know, they're getting like complete assurances that, okay, Seabass is going to be out at 5, I think I'd be wary of that. And if you're Laurel, then if you've got to take a shot here, I mean, this was a guy, you had a free shot on Seabass. It was a number for that side. And then you now have a couple of shots to take out Dominic or Wendell. You know, potentially they could both play their idol now coming up, going into the final 7 at that next tribal council if they don't win immunity, and you have to figure out how to get around that. But I feel like that, I don't think that shot was there to take out Wendell.
You just think because he's definitely going to, but like if he's definitely going to sniff a shot at him at any point in time, you know, why is next week versus the following week versus, I mean, if you're giving Wendell like the superpower of shot sniffing, you know, like why, when will you ever be able to, I don't necessarily, like Wendell says,
but then then what's
tonight is this episode.
Yeah. But he would, I believe that he would have
just because he told you that, because he said he would know, like, that's why you believe.
Well, why are you saying that that tonight is the only night he wouldn't be able to figure it out?
No, I'm just saying tonight was a night that he didn't play an idol. I mean, that much we know.
I think that's being very results oriented, because he didn't play an idol because he knew that the 2 people that were in his alliance were voting with him.
But I guess if we're saying, like, if we're just trying to like say what they should have done, what they should have done was voted out Wendell, but been so devious that he didn't even know it was coming. But to the point about Kellen, which I'll stop harping on the Sebastian thing. It is interesting, she says it herself, how the family visit just reframes your point of view. Having that family come out there reminds you of like, oh, right, there's this bigger world. Like you get so locked into your little Survivor story. So it was funny to see her go from this Navidi strong to the Navidi family is dead, or whatever she said. I mean, she said, but it was fun. She does speak about it in terms of family. And I do think that like the actual fact of her real family being out there changed her point of view.
Yeah, we've seen this all through the history of the show, that the family visit does serve as a wake-up call for a bunch of people, where it's like, this is my group for 30 days. And it's like, oh, wait, no, these people are strangers. I need to win this money. I need to bring this money back for my family. So
exactly.
That is a recurring theme all throughout Survivor over the years. I want to go back to that tribal council again, though, Stephen. I want to talk about Donathan's performance at this tribal council. And I'm frankly a little confused to what his motive was in terms of his outburst at tribal council. Do you feel like you have a good read on his thinking at that tribal council based on the fact that he was voting against Chelsea?
Well, it seems like some people just use tribal council as like an opportunity to air all the tribe stuff. Some people use it as another opportunity to be super discreet and play things really close to the vest. And some people think, I'm here, I'm going to be honest. Like this is the place where we actually talk about things. And it sounds like Donathan is just one of those people. As Wendell said, Wendell had this quote about, Donathan is one of these guys who likes to just be told he's a truth teller. He throws truth bombs at tribal. And I think that's just who he is.
At first, I thought that this was going to go down the path of, I thought that Laurel and Donathan might be voting against Wendell, and then Donathan was going to, he started saying all this stuff, and then Wendell was going to play his idol, and I thought that that's how this was going to get stopped or prevented by Wendell. But is it possible, was Donathan acting in this way because he wanted to scare Wendell into playing his idol, or was this to go along with the plan as all part of a ruse to convince Kellen and Angela and Chelsea that he was actually voting with them?
I don't think it was strategic. I really just think that's who he is. I think that like both Wendell and Kellen said like this is the guy he is. I don't think there was like some great ulterior motive. Like I'm going to act this way to encourage a certain type of behavior.
Because Wendell also seemed to be alarmed at the point that he was doing it. And I wonder how much of it was choreography, where it was like, okay, you say this at tribal council and I'll act like this and I'll act like I'm scared. And then that's so we won't arouse any suspicion in case any of them have an idol. I just say that it feels to me like it was theater, because it doesn't make sense if it was any other way. I know that also it could potentially be that Donathan is trying to get Wendell to stand up and play his idol so that they can at least flush an idol at that tribal council.
That could be.
But I don't sense that was the case, because I don't feel like that if it would be very underhanded, and I don't think that was the move that they were trying to do.
You don't think that's just who he is? I mean, we have seen him at other tribal councils just be very, honest about the situation at camp.
Right. That's who he is in terms of just spilling everything. And we saw Wendell, I think, say at the tribal council, that Donathan has, dropped some truth bombs at tribal council before. So in terms of it being just a matter of Donathan being Donathan, I think that's probably more the case. But I feel like that Dominic said at that tribal council also, Stephen, that I know that when we were on the reward, that the girls were talking, so that somebody went back and spilled information to Dominic because he wasn't there while those conversations were had.
Well, true. Although, I mean, I think you can just my takeaway from what Dominic said was like, these four were together on that beach. I mean, I agree with you that he's gotten like tipped off that, they very well could be making a move. I got the sense that like these four were together. Like you have to assume they're talking strategy at any given time, but definitely it sounds like someone let him know. It's likely that Laurel and Donathan let him know, right? That what was going on. Because and those guys are just so in control of everything, and it's crazy to watch these people acknowledge it. To see Kellen and Laurel be like, those guys are so in control, they're running everything, and just not make a move. It's like we've seen this again and again in this show where, like with Tyson in Blood versus Water, or Jeremy in Cambodia, there's people recognizing it and not ever doing anything about it. It's maddening.
Yeah.
What's going on? What should people do? I guess the Navidi people tried to do something.
No, I just feel like that Kellen had this golden opportunity last week and she let it slip by after a couple of weeks of butting heads with these guys, that I think that she had the shot there. And now it's really hard because they both have these idols also. And then not only do they have all the control, they also both have a hidden immunity idol.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now Dominic has started winning individual immunities too.
And I think, Wendell's going to be very competitive. I mean, obviously not this one, but, certainly when they get to the ones at the end, like he's a very athletic guy. Like he's going to be very competitive. That's why I think that was so important to try to take that shot tonight. Just because, with individual immunities, with the threat of the idols, it's just going to be so hard in the future to get. And then not having that vote at the Final Four, changes everything.
I want to go back to the reward challenge as well. And Seabass, I thought, had a rough go in terms of winning the family visit. So he had the opportunity, one, to pick the people that got to see their loved one. And I know that there were, he was picking Navidi people. And then, Donathan is somebody who, I think a lot of people really are fond of him. But the optics of selecting all of the men out there,
the guys,
and leaving the 4 women back at camp, I think was a very big blunder on his part.
I mean, the only mitigating factor is that you've just come off this night where Kellen and Laurel are at each other. Kellen has put 2 votes on Laurel. I believe, did Laurel also vote for Kellen at that tribal council? Am I correct about that? I think she did.
Yeah, I believe she did.
So, they've just both voted for each other. So granted, it's, the gender issue is obviously there, but in terms of like the personalities, like you've got 2 people who are somewhat against each other at this point in time. They've really they've both tried to vote each other out. It's not like there's just good blood. The weirdest part of that to me was when Jeff said to Seabass, like, you can make this decision if you want, or you can let someone else just volunteer. And he only offers it to the guys to volunteer. Like, why doesn't he offer?
I thought it was that Jeff had instructed, okay, so here's the thing. There's an advantage at Ghost Island, no questions asked. If you don't want it, you can offer it to one of the guys. And if they don't want it, if nobody here wants it, then all the power goes over there.
Oh, I see. So
it was like, it's sort of like, it was like a waterfall.
Right.
But how does Seabass pass on, okay, there's an advantage on Ghost Island, no questions asked? Like, no, Jeff, sorry, I gotta see my sister today. I gotta hang out with my sister.
Well, Dominic too did not want to do the go for the advantage.
It's not even a wife or a kid. I gotta hang out with my sister.
It's not the Seabass I knew. Super strategist Seabass.
Yeah, well, I don't know what got into him tonight. But then Wendell. So Wendell, very intelligently says, what do I need to hang out with my dad today? I'm good. I got to go to Ghost Island, get the advantage. But bad luck for Wendell, where he gets the worst advantage of all advantages, that even when Malcolm won the original advantage, it's such a lame advantage because that challenge, you're either good at it or you're not. A second chance does not help you at all in that challenge. The second chance should be you have to do less, or the advantage should be you have to hold less of those things. You have like one less.
I hate that. That's like the instant win advantage.
Whatever.
I agree.
I mean, that 2 people have gotten this advantage of you get an extra life in this challenge, and they both immediately were out again. It does not help you. It is not an advantage.
Yeah, and it's a big sacrifice. I mean, it would have been more interesting, I thought, to have like basically anything else, because then there's an even bigger target on Wendell's back. Oh my God, this guy just got an advantage. Like, what is he going to do with it? I was, cheering for Wendell to actually go, but before we knew what it was, I was praying that he would just, whatever it was, just use it at that tribal council, to get it.
Yeah, they did him a solid that it was something for this immunity, but I'm sure that Wendell must have been cursing and saying, I gave up my visit and lunch for this.
Yeah. Lunch he'll never get back. Well, so tell me what you think of this Ghost. So this was another switch in the way Ghost Island works. The core functionality of Ghost Island is the tribe that wins reward sends someone from the losing team to Ghost Island, and at Ghost Island there is a game someone can play where they have the possibility of winning reward. Except sometimes there is no game. Sometimes there's no Ghost Island. And this time it was like the whole rules were totally changed. We're like, Seabass can choose whomever he wants to go to Ghost Island, or if not, then this group goes, but then that group might go. Oh, and there's definitely an advantage at Ghost Island, no game to play. Do the fluctuating rules of Ghost Island bother you?
I mean, that we could really get into the weeds on it, and I'm not talking about Seabass here, but I mean, it's a broken record at this point. Ghost Island makes no sense. People like the relics from the past season, so that's the pros of it. But as far as conceptually, it makes no sense from week to week. But it is what it is. There's 2 more weeks of the show.
Yeah. Because I really feel like it's so close. I think it's such an interesting idea, but if they just created some consistency around the rules, then I feel like that's like a
wheel of advantages. Go there and take a spin.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That's good. Steven, did you think that we were going to see your second vote advantage?
I was hoping. My God, how great would that be? Finally, the curse would be reversed, and I could stop living under this tree.
Do you think we're going to see it, Steven? I know that it was talked about that it was going to be out there, but maybe it was one of those things that was like you don't think we'll see it. You think that
I think it was probably there was the vote steal. Whose was it? Like, who else had the vote steal? Someone found the vote steal.
Sarah.
Right? It was no. This season there was another vote steal, and they were like, "Oh, we've got." There were like 2 urns, right? And I think maybe it was a 2 and 3 chance, and I think they probably both had a vote steal. There was my vote steal, and then there was somebody else's vote steal.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see. Ultimately, still only 2 weeks left to go, and the finale is 2 weeks from tonight. Only 14 days left of Ghost Island, Steven.
It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Who's next up? Who's going out next?
Who's going out next? So I not to get too into the previews, but just based on
I didn't see the preview.
Just based on what we're talking about tonight, it really feels like that either Kellen or Angela's number is going to be up next.
I agree.
It feels like that Kellen had an opportunity here. And not just at that last tribal council last week, but, coming into the game, it just felt like that she had all of these pawns, the Desirees. I know Desiree wanted to vote against her, but I think it was because she felt like that, she wasn't part of Kellen's big plan. But between the Desirees, the Chelseas, the Angelas, the Seabass before he went off with Dominic and Wendell, it just feels like that she had a lot of parts that she could have put together to make, a group of 5 where she could have done something and picked up Michael and some Malolos and made a run at this.
You were right that it was Sarah's vote steal. Sorry about that. I thought Sarah had mine, so I thought it was a different one. But you were right that it was Sarah's vote steal.
Sarah did have a vote steal, but this was a extra vote. Like,
it became an extra vote because whatever it was. Yeah.
It was, yeah.
They go through weird changes on Ghost Island.
Ghost Island gets crazy.
Yeah. And then too, like with Laurel and Donovan, like so many opportunities. It's just been really frustrating to see people just miss the opportunities that are presented.
To be clear about this, because we'll get tweets that Sarah did not have your. That was not Ghost Island. She had that her letter referenced that you did not play yours correctly, but she would have her own opportunity to play it or misplay it with her own thing. But
no. In my head, for some reason, when you said you're absolutely right. Yeah.
The letter, her note referenced you, but it was not.
It wasn't actually mine.
Okay,
it's good because
All right, Steven, let's start to look at some of our questions here. But first, let me take a moment and thank our sponsor, our friends over at CanvasPeople.com.
Oh.
Steven, are you familiar with the fine work they're doing over at CanvasPeople.com?
Well, tell me about it.
CanvasPeople.com. They are turning your photos from your phone and your camera into beautiful works of art.
Oh, wow.
Steven, I know you have so many pictures that you have that you probably would love to have hanging up behind you in your lovely home. CanvasPeople.com can help you do that. Mother's Day is around the corner, but Mother's Day or any time of year, Canvas People is producing fantastic results for people. And best of all, they've got an offer for $0 pricing on 11x14 canvas photo. You just pay the shipping. It comes out to about $20 altogether, but you've got this 11x14 gorgeous canvas photo. You just use promo code RHAP at CanvasPeople.com. Normally a $69.99 value, Steven.
Wow.
You could take the letter that you got with your advantage, any of your Survivor photos, turn them into that picture of you and JT,
Oh, yeah.
arm in arm, any of that. Go to
it's a great picture. Yeah.
canvaspeople.com. Upload your photo, 11 by 14 size, promo code RHAP at canvaspeople.com.
With promo code RHAP, and it's free.
Yes.
It's free.
$0 pricing. You just pay the shipping, Steven.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm there now. These look great.
It's a great deal. It's a great offer.
Really good.
Great offer. Okay. Let's get into our questions, Stephen. Why don't you kick things off with oh wait, hold on. Stephen is leaving and he is going to be coming back.
I'm overheating.
You're overheating. What was the process? What did you have to do?
Turn on a fan.
Oh, you turned the fan on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Even with the short sleeves, you're overheating.
I know. Next time it's just going to be topless.
All right. We'll let us promote that night.
Right. Yeah.
What does Wes Macon have to say?
Wes Macon wants to know. So I guess the Secret Four alliance is a little more visible now. Will Seabass catch a clue? What do you think here, Rob?
Will Seabass catch a clue? That's a tough one. It's tough.
Go ahead.
It's who knows, Steven.
Here's the other thing about that Secret Four alliance. You know, like Laurel going to the end with that Dom and Wendell alliance versus Laurel going to the end with some of the Navidi people. If she goes to the end with Dom and Wendell, I believe she will be perceived as just having like floated to the end without having done anything. But if she goes to the end by blindsiding Dom and Wendell, she'll have this like big mark on her this big, resume point. So it's not like it's just like one path or the other. One of these paths gives her a lot more credibility if she actually gets there.
The other thing that I like about for Laurel going the opposite direction and eventually taking the guys out, where when we get down to these last couple of immunity challenges, I know that the women have dominated most of the immunities early on here in the season, even though Dominic has won the last immunity and then also won half of when they gave away 2 necklaces. But I feel like that at some point the challenges are going to be a little bit more physical. And I really like Laurel in a physical challenge versus the likes of Kellen and Chelsea and Angela. Like, I feel like against and Donathan, against that group, I feel like that she's head and shoulders, literally and figuratively, above that group.
Yeah, it's really true. It is really true.
And they might look at her and say at that point, like, hey, we got to vote her out. But then at that point, she's got a really great chance to win out in terms of the immunities.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. What I hope, she still could pull it out. We're talking about her like she's got
it's getting late. It's getting late. So now we're down to the final 7.
Her, Donathan, like let's say that 5 does stay together. Then you've got her, Donathan, and Seabass. That 3, if that 3 makes it to the end.
Potentially, but that do you have confidence that Seabass will flip against Dominic and Wendell to Laurel and Donathan, who really they don't have a working relationship with them in the way that we've seen? Remember, Wendell brought the shell to Seabass.
You got to give some credit to Seabass. You can't you can't treat him like he has got no awareness of the game. Like he's got to know to a certain degree, hey, if I want to win, I've got to vote these 2 guys out.
Okay, you say so. You say so.
I have faith. I have faith in Seabass.
Okay. Jennifer says, if Wendell can win Survivor Ghost Island, will he be a top 10 Survivor winner with the game he is currently playing? That's so hard to say. You really that there is not enough conclusive evidence to say that at this point in time. He's done a very nice job. Hard to, circle any major flaws in his game, but to say a top 10 winner at this point when we're at the final 7, I think that would be incredibly difficult to say right now.
In general, I don't like ranking either. I feel like everyone who won, like, congratulations, you did an amazing thing. You've got money, you've got, this incredible achievement. But why do you got to take away from the 11 through 20? Through 36.
Okay. Well, let's not debate that right now. But Steven, I would love to just
hold on. Yes. But you're saying Wendell wins, he'd be a top 10 winner. I think Dominic is playing a really stellar game. If in fact across the board, I don't need to. Again, you don't need to rank these 2, but they're both.
No, I want you to. So that I want to get your power rankings 1 and 2. I think that almost anybody who is watching the season would be saying, okay, I feel like that. Look, who knows what could happen, but you feel like that these 2 guys, what order would you rank them in terms of likelihood to win the game? Who do you have one and who do you have two?
Here's the thing. Until tonight, it would have been.
Try not to use the word edit.
Until tonight, it would have been Dominic above Wendell, because Dominic has really had these incredible reads over the last couple of episodes, right? You had last week or whenever it was, Dominic reading that Laurel was telling him the truth about Desiree. You had Dominic reading that Michael didn't have an idol. We had that scene, I believe, last episode where Dominic went and looked for advantages and found the fake immunity idol when Wendell went to lie down. So I think you had like both more hustle from Dominic and better reads from Dominic. But this week you had the reverse situation, because Wendell goes, when Dominic wants to have lunch with his wife, Wendell's the guy who volunteers to go to Ghost Island. And similarly, that incredible read at Tribal Council where he didn't play his immunity idol. He knew not to, in spite of all of the like crazy paranoia signals he must have been getting. So I'm not going to rank him, Rob. I'm not going to. I think they're both great.
What is the point of this show?
It's not a ranking show. This is the knowing.
Who do you think is more like? I can't believe that you are being a fancy Fencerton right now. It's a simple question.
They're both doing great. Well, who do you think is you rank then, Mr. Rank It All?
I'll say that I feel like that Dominic has the last couple of episodes. I feel like that he has emerged to the point where now he has a couple of immunity victories now under his belt. And then also you hear more and more people saying like, oh, Wendell. You seem like people seem agitated with Wendell to some degree, where he has had more of a magic carpet ride. And so if I had to rank them tonight, I would say I have Dominic 1 and Wendell 2. Big gap to anybody else at 3.
But the counter argument is, in terms of like them being more aware of Wendell, when before Dominic won immunity, Chelsea was saying we should vote for Dominic because Wendell is more likely to pull something out of his bag of tricks. He said, or she said, have something up his sleeve. So I think, they also have this fear this sense that Wendell has more secrets, more to do. And like, yes, that's a bad thing if it makes you a target, but if it's a good thing if it protects you from being a target. So I actually think I think that like there they balance too. It's a very evenly balanced partnership.
So you would say it's 50-50, not 51-49 in either person's favor.
This is why you're never been a part of a bromance, Rob. It's because it doesn't have to be one or the other. The bromance is equal bros.
Okay. Are you afraid you'll be wrong? Is that the issue here?
No, do you want me to predict who's going to win? I'm happy to do that.
What's the difference?
The difference is like who's playing the better game versus who's going to win the game. Those are two totally different things.
Okay. All right.
Wait, how are you so outraged by this?
That we've been doing this show for what year is this of doing the show? Who's playing the better game right now? Why is this a hard question?
I don't think, but I'm happy to rank the rest of them. Let's go down through 8 through 10. I don't think between those two is what you can do it. And I'm not going to cast bad bromance vibes by trying to create a hierarchy. What if someone said to you, I think, I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate.
This is all right. I am bum puzzled right now. All right. Aiden wants to know, did tonight solidify Laurel's loss? I don't think that this is a fake complete, Steven, that she has lost the game tonight. She didn't.
Why won't you take a stand? Why won't you take a stand, Rob? I think she did lose the game tonight.
Okay, fine. That you're saying that there's a 0% chance she can win after tonight.
No, but I think this was probably her last true opportunity to make a move. I think that it is possible that she wins after tonight, but to me, this looked like truly the last chance where she had a very clear, very good opportunity to create a winning path to the end for herself.
Yeah. I would say that it does look very bad for her, but I would not put her at 0% chance to win the game. I think that if we're gonna rank the other people who could potentially win the game, if you talked about like, is it Dominic or Wendell or the field? I think you talk about Kellen. I think you talk about Laurel. I think I'd probably have her 4.
Yeah. I agree. And then obviously Angela is drawing dead, and then you have Donathan, and then above Angela, you've got Seabass. Above Seabass, you've got Donathan, and I guess that's it.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much else there in the field, but I think if you're holding your hopes out for the field of not Dominic or Wendell, I feel like that, Kellen and Laurel are where you probably have to put your chips.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
What about
Luke Froze wants to know, Donathan was definitely trying to freak Wendell out so he would play the idol, right?
I don't think so. I don't think that that was the case. He really seemed like that he was very proud of what he was doing. And I feel like that for Donathan to be that underhanded, I think he might be a little more sheepish about it. What do you think?
Um, yeah, I don't think so either. Like, I would like that move to have been the case. I think it would have been like a little less subtle had he been actually trying to get Wendell to, play his idol.
Yeah. It's, I know the exit interviews are not canon, but I feel like that at some point down the road, I feel like we'll get the answer to this question of what were the two of them trying to encourage a idol play by Wendell.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I'm very, very curious. All right, Scott wants to know who's fighting harder to become a 0 vote finalist, Laurel or Donathan?
Boy. To me, I feel like it's Donathan more than Laurel.
Why? Because Donathan, at least, why?
I feel like that Laurel recognizes the predicament that she's in more and might be able to articulate it. And Donathan, I feel like that he's talking about he's ready to play go big or go home, and then he voted out Chelsea.
Well, yeah, but he can't, he can't vote for he can't himself vote for Wendell. Like, it's got to be him and Laurel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Based on the that I think that people have felt like that they have like in the same way that Seabass picked Donathan to go on the family visit. If that's the kind of thing where I think that Seabass is saying like, oh, like, I feel bad for Donathan. I'm going to do something nice for him. And then if Donathan turns around and votes out Seabass, I feel like that's the kind of stuff that gets you to where people are really annoyed at you at the final three.
Yes. Well, but also, they have to feel that way about Laurel, right? Laurel's been a part of every one of those conversations. And then she's the one who goes in and tells on the plan, right? With Desiree, she's the one who told Dominic about the plan. And I think that, there could be a lot of anger at her for having ruined these last few attempts at really shaking up the status quo. But I don't think that necessarily either 0 votes. Like, do you think there will be like a Malolo vote there? Do you think like one of the Malolos on the jury will feel some sort of Malolo pride?
That's certainly a possibility, but I just feel like that when we're talking about the two of them, I feel like that Laurel has a fighting chance to argue for some votes. Where I don't know if Donathan necessarily is going to persuade anybody to be able to articulate what the strategy was the whole way.
What is Laurel's argument
of why she should win if she goes to the end with Dominic and Wendell?
Yeah.
That she convinced them to go. I mean, we don't know what the path that she took is. If she wins out immunity, there's a couple of different scenarios where ultimately she gets there. But I think that she would have to say that she was the last person left from Malolo. Everybody wanted the Malolos out. She was able to ingratiate herself with Dominic and Wendell. She made an alliance with them early on. She was able to get them to vote out everybody from their own tribe. They turned on all Univides. Something. I mean, we're grasping at straws, but I think that would probably be something along the best case.
It's interesting. Like, at some point, I'd love to chat with you about the difference between playing from the top and playing from the bottom, because they're both very challenging and they both have best practices. On the one hand, because you can see where it goes wrong from both positions in this season. Where Kellen, for example, who's someone who's really squandered this position from the top that she's had. Right, she was in charge of this. Nominally in charge from our perspective of this big Nvidia alliance. And because of her fixation on maintaining that alliance, she wasn't able to see the threats coming in from the side. And then, conversely, you've got Laurel, who's playing from the bottom and, was so cautious that she missed opportunities she might have had to switch up the game. So it's interesting. They're very different things that you need to do to win from each position. They each have their challenges.
And the other thing why I'll say that I don't know if Laurel is drawing dead, I think that the history of Survivor is littered with people who go on to win after making a very late run at the game, whether it's final 7 or final 6 or even final 5, where you win out those last couple of immunities, you find necklaces, you make a fire. That last season is a great example of somebody who goes on a run right at the end of the season. So I think that there are possibilities at the end of the game that we sometimes don't see coming.
Bob Crowley, right? Just won out the last 3 immunities, and everyone, voted for him.
That I believe that is incorrect.
2 immunities. He won out some quantity of immunities.
Yeah, I believe Susie Smith won the final immunity.
Oh, right. She won the stack. You're right. She won
and I believe Bob then said that he wasn't going to talk to anybody then after that. And then somehow they still brought it into the final 3.
He said all he needed to say to win the game.
Yes, I believe that's the case. Okay. All right. John Densford, Den Dollar. Is it impressive or foolish to be able to hold on to your idol knowing that the vote will be 5-3 either way? Do you want to get on Wendell for not playing his idol tonight,
No,
Steven?
great move, great read. I mean, I think this is like the edge, right? It's like having those reads and being correct about them. Yeah. Because when you're wrong, it's not a great move.
Yeah. Steven, did you want to weigh in on last week's episode at all? That we didn't get your take in terms of the 2 tribal councils in last week's episode. Was there anything that you wanted to say in terms of how those were covered?
Oh no! I mean, I guess I was not as mad at Kellen for using those 2 votes on Laurel. I thought it did make some degree of sense. Obviously, I was incredibly disappointed that both of those groups split 2 Navidi. I'm sorry for majority Navidi, right. 3 Navidi, 2 Malolo. You have to assume that part of the reason that happened that way was that someone on the back end was thinking like, how do we shift things up? We've got this 6-4 split. Like if just one of these tribes has a different numerical advantage, the whole game could change. That did not happen.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to last couple of questions from Survivor Fan 2014, Steven.
All right. Please explain to me, how dumb is this cast not to go after Wendell, knowing he still has an idol and his number 1 ally, Dom, also has an idol?
Yeah.
I mean, we agree.
Yeah. Well, we've been you agree with the person from Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that wrong?
Well, no, who knows? But I think that Wendell, Laurel, knowing that he has this idol in his back pocket, I think that it was probably too risky. And to know, that Wendell was even suspicious of Laurel, let alone once Donathan knows that you're voting against Wendell, I kind of feel like that's going to be tough to, really blindside those guys, especially on a night when Dominic is immune. There's no sort of like, oh, could it be me? Could it be him? It's that I think that Dominic having immunity, I think, really hurt the cause tonight.
And I do think this perception of Wendell as having, things up his sleeve, like maybe they're not worried about just one idol. Maybe they're worried about like some other thing. Oh, he was just at Ghost Island. Right, yes, there was this one advantage, but like, who knows what else he's got up his sleeve. And they're not all that dumb. Like some of them tried to take him out. I do think on the margin, probably everyone is in a good spot. Everyone is making moves that make sense to them. I guess that's not a good defense. But do you think from in this Wendell Dominic perception, do you think between the 2 of them, they have a sense of who's gonna win?
No, I don't think so. I think that they're just sort of like, hey, let's just get to the end. I think that Dominic is thinking more about cutting Wendell, and Wendell is thinking a little bit more of, hey, let's just get there, and then we'll, figure it out once we get to the final 3. So I would be surprised if one of them cuts the other one. Do you think that that's a possibility, Steven?
Maybe at 4. I don't think so, though. I mean, I would be. I think it's possible at 4 that one
even
of
with
them.
The fire making.
Well, if one of them wins immunity, I think it's possible he wouldn't take the other one.
And could say, "Oh, I really need you to make,
earn it.
Beat Laurel in the fire making challenge, or beat Seabass in the fire making challenge. So I need you. Will you be my champion? Will you be my bro and go into the fire making challenge?" And so sort of like a sneaky way to like, hey, if he loses him, he loses him.
Yeah, I think that's possible. Okay. I do think that's possible.
All right, Scott, let's do one last question here, and then we'll wrap this up. Wyatt says, why did Donathan drop that truth bomb at Tribal? How does that help or hinder his game? So we've sort of ruled out with it. We don't think that he was trying to flush Wendell's idol. The only thing that I could think of is that they didn't want to have Kellen be alarmed in any way.
So you think he was like playing it up in order to gull Kellen?
Yeah, I think so. I think that to keep basically to keep up the blind side of Chelsea.
It's possible that was part of it. That's really possible. Yeah, it's also possible that to make it seem to everyone, but like that's certainly possible.
There's only a couple of different options of either that they were, he just was, had diarrhea of the mouth. Or there was intention in that he was trying to get Wendell to play his idol, or that he was sort of a choreographed conversation where the thing that like Wendell was acting like really, alarmed. And he talked about how if he felt like things weren't going to go his way, he would have played his idol. So it doesn't make any sense that he didn't play his idol if that was the case. So I feel like that they were all sort of like in on what they were going to talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right. Steven, who got the fishy tonight?
I gave the fishy to both Dominic and Wendell because I can't rank the two of them.
What is with you?
I have always been against ranking. I've always found ranking to be an arbitrary and reductive way of understanding this kind of thing.
But for how many seasons have you picked one person that gets it, and then all of a sudden now you can't split the baby between Dominic and Wendell?
Well, sometimes I give them to two, and sometimes I give it to one. I think last week I gave it to one person, and this week I'm giving it to two people. I was going to give it to Wendell by himself, and then I thought, no, Rob Cesternino demands I give it to one person, and I can't give in to that kind of bullying.
Okay, all right. This is not going to play well for you, Steven.
Wait, what do you mean?
Let's see how this goes. Let's see how the reaction to this works out.
Wait, reaction to what? Are you threatening me?
I'm not threatening you.
Oh my God, that way he's threatening me.
Let's see how the audience reacts to
What's
this.
Gonna happen? He's threatening me.
Let Steven know on Twitter.
A mob against me. Oh
my God,
I'm just saying. This is terrifying. Rob, you've turned evil.
I'm saying let's see how it plays out.
Because I don't want to rank people, because I don't think people should fall on an easy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 list. Rob is going to smite me with the power of the internet.
I'm not doing anything.
You're just threatening.
Let's talk about what's coming up on the podcast. Of course, tomorrow is the Big Brother Canada 6 finale. Of course, we will see Taryn's final live feed update of the season coming up on Thursday. He will talk about Kayla's game. And of course, live after the Big Brother Canada 6 finale, Taryn and the LFC will be live to talk about whatever happens, whoever wins. Instant reactions coming up at 10:15 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Friday, look for the exit interviews with the final 3, maybe final 4, who knows. Taryn is going to be talking to all of your Big Brother Canada 6 finalists. So be on the lookout for all that. And of course, Michael Snowy, happy birthday. I'll be talking to him on Thursday evening. Get your questions in Survivor at robhasawebsite.com. And then coming up on the feedback show this weekend, Bryce Isaiah, get your feedback questions in. And that's going to be on Friday, that feedback show. So get your feedback questions in. Don't wait around for the feedback. Okay. So Friday afternoon, we'll be getting those in. So don't dilly-dally with those. And of course, to get even deeper into Rob as a podcast, we did our patron cast talking about all of these rumors about Australian Survivor. Steven, have you been hearing any of this?
I've been sad. So I'm watching season 2 of Australian Survivor, which I'm loving. It's like at this point, please don't spoil me. I'm already spoiled on the winner, unfortunately.
Let me spoil you on how season 3 is going to go.
I know. Well, so I'm loving it. It's like, honestly, it's one of the top 5 Survivor seasons of all time, at least where I am. And the fact that they're going to squander all of that fan credibility, God, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Look,
it's almost as bad as if
the winners are us, the viewers. The viewers are the winners. Okay. Get even more info on everything we're doing at Rob as a podcast. 2 patron-only shows a week and much more. robhasawebsite.com/patron. All right, Steven Fishbach. Only one more live know-it-alls of the season that we will be back together next Wednesday night. And then after the finale, Steven will be back with Sophie Clark.
Yeah, very excited. I've confirmed with Sophie. We're on. We're going to be breaking it down. She always has hot takes. She's always very original takes. And I'm really excited about it.
Okay, that's 2 weeks from tonight, the finale of Survivor Ghost Island. So looking forward to everything coming up here down the stretch. Thanks so much to Scott St. Pierre behind the scenes. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the podcast tonight. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye. Oh, it was coming. But to the point about Kellen, which I'll stop harping on the Sebastian thing. It is interesting, she says it herself, how the family visit just reframes your point of view. Having that family come out there reminds you of like, oh, right, there's this bigger world. Like you get so locked into your little Survivor story. So it was funny to see her go from this Navidi strong to the Navidi family is dead, or whatever she said. I mean, she said, but it was fun. She does speak about it in terms of family. And I do think that like the actual fact of her real family being out there changed her point of view.
Yeah, we've seen this all through the history of the show, that the family visit does serve as a wake-up call for a bunch of people, where it's like, this is my group for 30 days. And it's like, oh, wait, no, these people are strangers. I need to win this money. I need to bring this money back for my family. So
exactly.
That is a recurring theme all throughout Survivor over the years. I want to go back to that tribal council again, though, Stephen. I want to talk about Donathan's performance at this tribal council. And I'm frankly a little confused to what his motive was in terms of his outburst at tribal council. Do you feel like you have a good read on his thinking at that tribal council based on the fact that he was voting against Chelsea?
Well, it seems like some people just use tribal council as like an opportunity to air all the tribe stuff. Some people use it as another opportunity to be super discreet and play things really close to the vest. And some people think, I'm here, I'm going to be honest. Like this is the place where we actually talk about things. And it sounds like Donathan is just one of those people. As Wendell said, Wendell had this quote about, Donathan is one of these guys who likes to just be told he's a truth teller. He throws truth bombs at tribal. And I think that's just who he is.
At first, I thought that this was going to go down the path of, I thought that Laurel and Donathan might be voting against Wendell, and then Donathan was going to, he started saying all this stuff, and then Wendell was going to play his idol, and I thought that that's how this was going to get stopped or prevented by Wendell. But is it possible, was Donathan acting in this way because he wanted to scare Wendell into playing his idol, or was this to go along with the plan as all part of a ruse to convince Kellen and Angela and Chelsea that he was actually voting with them?
I don't think it was strategic. I really just think that's who he is. I think that like both Wendell and Kellen said like this is the guy he is. I don't think there was like some great ulterior motive. Like I'm going to act this way to encourage a certain type of behavior.
Because Wendell also seemed to be alarmed at the point that he was doing it. And I wonder how much of it was choreography, where it was like, okay, you say this at tribal council and I'll act like this and I'll act like I'm scared. And then that's so we won't arouse any suspicion in case any of them have an idol. I just say that it feels to me like it was theater, because it doesn't make sense if it was any other way. I know that also it could potentially be that Donathan is trying to get Wendell to stand up and play his idol so that they can at least flush an idol at that tribal council.
That could be.
But I don't sense that was the case, because I don't feel like that if it would be very underhanded, and I don't think that was the move that they were trying to do.
You don't think that's just who he is? I mean, we have seen him at other tribal councils just be very, honest about the situation at camp.
Right. That's who he is in terms of just spilling everything. And we saw Wendell, I think, say at the tribal council, that Donathan has, dropped some truth bombs at tribal council before. So in terms of it being just a matter of Donathan being Donathan, I think that's probably more the case. But I feel like that Dominic said at that tribal council also, Stephen, that I know that when we were on the reward, that the girls were talking, so that somebody went back and spilled information to Dominic because he wasn't there while those conversations were had.
Well, true. Although, I mean, I think you can just my takeaway from what Dominic said was like, these four were together on that beach. I mean, I agree with you that he's gotten like tipped off that, they very well could be making a move. I got the sense that like these four were together. Like you have to assume they're talking strategy at any given time, but definitely it sounds like someone let him know. It's likely that Laurel and Donathan let him know, right? That what was going on. Because and those guys are just so in control of everything, and it's crazy to watch these people acknowledge it. To see Kellen and Laurel be like, those guys are so in control, they're running everything, and just not make a move. It's like we've seen this again and again in this show where, like with Tyson in Blood versus Water, or Jeremy in Cambodia, there's people recognizing it and not ever doing anything about it. It's maddening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's going on? What should people do? I guess the Navidi people tried to do something.
No, I just feel like that Kellen had this golden opportunity last week, and she let it slip by after a couple of weeks of butting heads with these guys. That I think that she had the shot there, and now it's really hard because they both have these idols also, and then not only do they have all the control, they also both have a hidden immunity idol.
Yeah, yeah.
But now Dominic has started winning individual immunities too.
And I think, Wendell's going to be very competitive. I mean, obviously not this one, but, certainly when they get to the ones at the end, like he's a very athletic guy. Like he's going to be very competitive. That's why I think that was so important to try to take that shot tonight. Just because, with individual immunities, with the threat of the idols, it's just going to be so hard in the future to get. And then not having that vote at the Final Four, changes everything.
I want to go back to the reward challenge as well. And Seabass, I thought, had a rough go in terms of winning the family visit. So he had the opportunity, one, to pick the people that got to see their loved one. And I know that there were, he was picking Navidi people. And then, Donathan is somebody who, I think a lot of people really are fond of him. But the optics of selecting all of the men out there,
the guys,
and leaving the 4 women back at camp, I think was a very big blunder on his part.
I mean, the only mitigating factor is that you've just come off this night where Kellen and Laurel are at each other. Kellen has put 2 votes on Laurel. I believe, did Laurel also vote for Kellen at that tribal council? Am I correct about that? I think she did.
Yeah, I believe she did.
So, they've just both voted for each other. So granted, it's, the gender issue is obviously there, but in terms of like the personalities, like you've got 2 people who are somewhat against each other at this point in time. They've really they've both tried to vote each other out. It's not like there's just good blood. The weirdest part of that to me was when Jeff said to Seabass, like, you can make this decision if you want, or you can let someone else just volunteer.
Canvaspeople.com can help you do that. Mother's Day is around the corner, but Mother's Day or any time of year, Canvas People is producing fantastic results for people. And best of all, they've got an offer for $0 pricing on 11x14 Canvas photo. You just pay the shipping. It comes out to about $20 altogether, but you've got this 11x14 gorgeous Canvas photo. You just use promo code RHAP at canvaspeople.com. Normally a $69.99 value, Steven.
Wow.
You could take the letter that you got with your advantage, any of your survivor photos, turn them into that picture of you and JT, arm in arm, any of that. Go to
It's a great picture. Yeah.
Canvaspeople.com. Upload your photo, 11x14 size, promo code RHAP at canvaspeople.com.
With promo code RHAP, and it's free.
Yes.
It's free.
$0 pricing. You just pay the shipping, Steven.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm there now. These look great.
It's a great deal. It's a great offer.
Really good.
Great offer. Okay. Let's get into our questions, Stephen. Why don't you kick things off with? Oh wait, hold on. Stephen is leaving, and he is going to be coming back.
I'm overheating.
You were overheating. What was the process? What did you have to do?
Turn on a fan.
Oh, he turned the fan on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Even with the short sleeves, you're overheating.
I know. Next time, it's just going to be topless.
All right. We'll let us promote that night.
Right. Yeah.
What does Wes Macon have to say?
Wes Macon wants to know. So I guess the Secret 4 alliance is a little more visible now. Will Seabass catch a clue? What do you think here, Rob?
Will Seabass catch a clue? That's a tough one. It's tough.
Go ahead.
It's who knows, Steven.
Here's the other thing about that Secret 4 alliance. Like Laurel going to the end with that Dom and Wendell alliance versus Laurel going to the end with some of the Navidi people. If she goes to the end with Dom and Wendell, I believe she will be perceived as just having like floated to the end without having done anything. But if she goes to the end by blindsiding Dom and Wendell, she'll have this like big mark on her this big, resume point. So it's not like it's just like one path or the other. One of these paths gives her a lot more credibility if she actually gets there.
The other thing that I like about for Laurel going the opposite direction and eventually taking the guys out, where when we get down to these last couple of immunity challenges, I know that the women have dominated most of the immunities early on here in the season, even though Dominic has won the last immunity and then also won half of when they gave away 2 necklaces. But I feel like that at some point the challenges are going to be a little bit more physical. And I really like Laurel in a physical challenge versus the likes of Kellen and Chelsea and Angela. Like I feel like against and Donathan against that group, I feel like that she's head and shoulders, literally and figuratively above that group.
Yeah, it's really true. It is really true.
And they might look at her and say at that point, like, hey, we got to vote her out. But then at that point, she's got a really great chance to win out in terms of the immunities.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. What I mean, I hope, I mean, she still could pull it out. We're talking about her like she's got
it's getting late. It's getting late. So now we're down to the final 7.
Her, Donathan, like let's say that 5 does stay together. Then you've got her, Donathan, and Seabass. You know, that 3, if that 3 makes it to the end.
Potentially, but you know that. Do you have confidence that Seabass will flip against Dominic and Wendell to Laurel and Donathan, who really they don't have a working relationship with them in the way that we've seen? Remember, Wendell brought the shell to Seabass.
You got to give some credit to Seabass. You know, you can't you can't treat him like he has got no awareness of the game. You know, like he's got to know to a certain degree, hey, if I want to win, I've got to vote these 2 guys out.
Okay, you say so. You say so.
I have faith. I have faith in Seabass.
Okay. Jennifer says, if Wendell can win Survivor Ghost Island, will he be a top 10 Survivor winner with the game he is currently playing? That's so hard to say. You really that there is not enough conclusive evidence to say that at this point in time. He's done a very nice job. Hard to, circle any major flaws in his game, but to say a top 10 winner at this point when we're at the final 7, I think that would be incredibly difficult to say right now.
In general, I don't like ranking either. I feel like everyone who won, like, congratulations, you did an amazing thing. You've got money, you've got, this incredible achievement. But like, why do you got to take away from the 11 through 20? Through 36.
Okay. Well, let's not debate that right now. But Steven, I would love to
hold on.
Yes.
But you're saying Wendell wins, he'd be a top 10 winner. I mean, I think Dominic is playing a really stellar game. If in fact across the board, I don't need to. Again, you don't need to rank these 2, but like they're both.
No, I want you to. So that I want to get your power rankings 1 and 2. I think that almost anybody who is watching the season would be saying, okay, I feel like that. Look, who knows what could happen, but you feel like that these 2 guys, what order would you rank them in terms of likelihood to win the game? Who do you have 1 and who do you have 2?
Here's the thing. Until tonight, it would have been.
Try not to use the word edit.
Until tonight, it would have been Dominic above Wendell, because Dominic has really had these incredible reads over the last couple of episodes, right? You had last week or whenever it was, Dominic reading that Laurel was telling him the truth about Desiree. You had Dominic reading that Michael didn't have an idol. We had that scene, I believe, last episode where Dominic went and looked for advantages and found the fake immunity idol when Wendell went to lie down. So I think you had like both more hustle from Dominic and better reads from Dominic. But this week you had the reverse situation, because Wendell goes, when Dominic wants to have lunch with his wife, Wendell's the guy who volunteers to go to Ghost Island. And similarly, that incredible read at Tribal Council where he didn't play his immunity idol. He knew not to, in spite of all of the like crazy paranoia signals he must have been getting. So I'm not going to rank him, Rob. I'm not going to. I think they're both great.
What is the point of this show?
It's not a ranking show. This is the knowing.
Who do you think is more like? I can't believe that you are being a fancy fencerton right now. It's a simple question.
They're both doing great. Who do you think is you rank then, Mr. Rank It All?
I'll say that I feel like that Dominic has the last couple of episodes. I feel like that he has emerged to the point where now he has. Yes, that is right. The Survivor Know-It-Alls are back together here after episode number 12. My loved one is here. Stephen Fishback.
Oh, my God. It's a thrill to be back. It was painful being away last week and so delightful to be here again.
Good. And happy to hear those words come from you, Stephen. And also, I feel like that this is the first time in the history of Survivor Know-It-Alls that you are wearing short sleeves.
I think I wore no, I wore a t-shirt once because I had that like the correcting your grammar. But other than that,
yes, what a hit that was.
Yeah, and so, people are still talking about that hilarious grammar correction.
Yes. So I think a lot to talk about here tonight as we had a big move on the table. It did not happen. It looked like that things were going one way. And obviously, we saw that the swing votes in Laurel and Donathan decided they voted with the majority with Wendell and Dominic and Seabass here, 5-3. And Chelsea, Stephen Fishback, gone too soon. Robbed goddess.
Yeah. Bring back Chelsea.
Bring back Chelsea. Not soon enough.
Yes, I'm saying that sincerely. And the laughter is not in any way indicative of my sincerity. Hey, the big news of the night was Seabass. You know, we all assumed that he was just like a Navidi number or Navidi pawn. Here he is voting against the Navidi majority. I felt like that actually was like the story of the night. You know, I mean, we've seen, the actual story.
Dominic and Wendell are Navidi.
Right, but he voted. That's true. That is true. But he voted against, rather than vote against. I guess that's true. I guess his options were Navidi or Navidi.
Yeah, and so he stuck with the guys as opposed to going off with the women. But we've really never had our finger on the pulse of what he's doing. We thought that he was a showmance with Jenna half the season,
and then he votes her out. Apparently, calls her chunky.
Yeah, that was in Ponderosa, on her way to Ponderosa. She mentioned that. So a lot to get to. We'll break it all down and talk about all of the second guesses from tonight. Of course, we'll take your questions as well. Hashtag RHAP. You can post your question in the chat room. Scott St. Pierre is standing by to take care of all of that. But Stephen, I know everybody is waiting to hear from Chelsea in the Survivor exit interview. We heard another confessional from her tonight. But Stephen, I have some breaking news.
Oh, I'm already guessing. No,
are you on pins and needles?
It's not true.
Oh wait, hold on. That's not even plugged in. Yeah, some breaking news tonight at this hour. Stephen Fishback. I have to report that I have been informed that Chelsea will not be appearing.
Now, are you joking?
The exit interview.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding.
Invisible, even in her exit interview, she truly is the most invisible.
So I think we were all looking forward to hearing from her. Nobody has been a bigger Chelsea fan this season than me, and for some reason, we have not heard. We will not be hearing from her on Rob Has a Podcast. I have been forwarded that she is going to be on a plane during our scheduled interview time.
You can't reschedule? Is you going to be on a plane for the next 2 weeks?
I'm available. I'm open all day.
Here's the thing. I actually am I think we are all curious where Chelsea was, right? It seemed like when we saw her that she had her finger on the pulse of what was happening in the game. She seemed to be at the center of a lot of alliances. Obviously, Wendell and Dominic tonight thought she was a bigger threat and a bigger target than Kellen. So, you know, I want to hear why. And I'm heartbroken.
We will be getting email questions back from her over email. So we will have the exit interview podcast. And when those answers come in, we will be joined once again by Liana Boris, the chief RHAP player of the exit interview dramatic reading.
Oh, how exciting.
So we'll have Liana. We'll have fun with that. That's going to be coming up on Thursday. But then, of course, a great batch of podcasts coming up to talk about all of this as well. Your friend and mine, Michael Snow, will be joining me on the recap.
Oh, I love Michael Snow.
It's been 10 seasons since Michael Snow played, and happy birthday tonight to Michael Snow.
Happy birthday. And as a birthday present, you've decided for the first time this season to not have a millennial or a Gen Xer on the podcast.
Oh, well, you're about like 10 weeks late to the party with that joke.
Oh, I just learned the joke.
Yeah.
I was so excited about the joke.
It's already on to season 35, by the way. Okay, keep up with the times. Okay. And then we were going to be joined by the great Bryce Isaiah, who once upon a time it was, why do you always have all these Survivor Cagayan people on the show?
They're the best.
Yes. Bryce Isaiah is going to join me on the podcast. So very excited that he made purple cool before even Chelsea did, when he was the purple pants badass.
Yes. The original purple pants badass.
Yeah. So the fun week of podcasts coming up. Steven, so I really want to talk about this tribal council. And I know you want to talk about Seabass and what he was up to.
I don't really need to talk about Seabass that much. I mean, the big story of this episode is it's like the recurring story. One of the big stories of this whole season has been, when is this duo of Laurel and Donathan going to make their move, if ever?
Yeah. And that was really, and Laurel really laid out the conundrum of, with this group, with Kellen's group, it's less of a sure thing, but I've got a better chance to win.
Yes.
Or I could go with Dominic and Wendell, and it's much more of a sure thing, but less likely than I'll win. And you really feel like when you hear a survivor talk in those terms, that you would think the conventional wisdom is going to be they will go along for the path. If they recognize those are the two options, you would imagine that they would open the door that is less of a chance to get to the end, but a much better chance to win.
Yeah, it is. It's a really scary proposition. And I have been in this position, and I try not to minimize the times that I say, I was in this exact spot. But I was in this exact spot in Cambodia where I had this one group of people on my left with the Jeremys and the Spencers who I knew I could trust. Well, the Jeremys I knew I could trust, but they would beat me at the end. Then you had the witches who I knew I couldn't trust, but I thought I could beat. And I did that thing that the opposite of what Laurel did. I made the move. I tried to destabilize the game, and then I was voted out. So it's scary. Like, you have to get to the end to win at the end. And I'm sure that Laurel thinks that she sees like some path to get to the end. Maybe it is Seabass and Donathan, but this fire making challenge really makes everything so difficult to predict. Plus knowing that both Wendell and he only offers it to the guys to volunteer. Like, why doesn't he offer?
I thought it was that Jeff had instructed, okay, so here's the thing. There's an advantage at Ghost Island, no questions asked. If you don't want it, you can offer it to one of the guys. And if they don't want it, if nobody here wants it, then all the power goes over there.
Oh, I see. So
it was like, it's sort of like, it was like a waterfall.
Right.
But how does Seabass pass on, okay, there's an advantage on Ghost Island, no questions asked? Like, no, Jeff, sorry, I gotta see my sister today. I gotta hang out with my sister.
Well, Dominic too did not want to do the go for the advantage.
It's not even a wife or a kid.
Yeah.
I gotta hang out with my sister.
It's not the Seabass I knew. Super strategist Seabass.
I don't know what got into him tonight.
Yeah.
So, but then Wendell. So Wendell, very intelligently says, what do I need to hang out with my dad today? I'm good. I got to go to Ghost Island, get the advantage. But bad luck for Wendell, where he gets the worst advantage of all advantages. That even when Malcolm won the original advantage, it's such a lame advantage because that challenge, you're either good at it or you're not. A second chance does not help you at all in that challenge. The second chance should be you have to do less, or the advantage should be you have to hold less of those things. You have like one less.
I hate that. That's like the instant win advantage.
Whatever.
I agree.
I mean, that two people have gotten this advantage of you get an extra life in this challenge, and they both immediately were out again. It does not help you. It is not an advantage.
Yeah, and it's a big sacrifice. I mean, it would have been more interesting, I thought, to have like basically anything else, because then there's an even bigger target on Wendell's back. Oh my God, this guy just got an advantage. Like, what is he going to do with it? I was, cheering for Wendell to actually go, but before we knew what it was, I was praying that he would just, whatever it was, just use it at that tribal council, to get it.
Yeah, they did him a solid that it was something for this immunity, but I'm sure that Wendell must have been cursing and saying, I gave up my visit and lunch for this.
Yeah. Lunch he'll never get back. Well, so tell me what you think of this Ghost. So this was another switch in the way Ghost Island works. The core functionality of Ghost Island is the tribe that wins reward sends someone from the losing team to Ghost Island. And at Ghost Island, there is a game someone can play where they have the possibility of winning reward. Except sometimes there is no game. Sometimes there's no Ghost Island. And this time it was like the whole rules were totally changed. We're like, Seabass can choose whomever he wants to go to Ghost Island, or if not, then this group goes, but then that group might go. Oh, and there's definitely an advantage at Ghost Island, no game to play. Do the fluctuating rules of Ghost Island bother you?
I mean, that we could really get into the weeds on it, and I'm not talking about Seabass here, but I mean, it's a broken record at this point. Ghost Island makes no sense. People like the relics from the past season, so that's the pros of it. But as far as conceptually, it makes no sense from week to week. But it is what it is. There's 2 more weeks of the show.
Yeah. Because I really feel like it's so close. I think it's such an interesting idea. But if they just created some consistency around the rules, then I feel like that's like a
wheel of advantages. Go there and take a spin.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That's good. That's good. Steven, did you think that we were going to see your second vote advantage?
I was hoping. My God, how great would that be? Finally, the curse would be reversed, and I could stop living under this tree.
Do you think we're going to see it, Steven? I know that it was talked about that it was going to be out there, but maybe it was one of those things that was like you don't think we'll see it. You think that
I think it was probably there was the vote steal. Whose was it? Like, who else had the vote steal? Someone found the vote steal.
Sarah.
Right? It was no. This season there was another vote steal, and they were like, "Oh, we've got." There were like 2 urns, right? And I think maybe it was a 2 and 3 chance, and I think they probably both had a vote steal. There was my vote steal, and then there was somebody else's vote steal.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see. Ultimately, still only 2 weeks left to go, and the finale is 2 weeks from tonight. Only 14 days left of Ghost Island, Steven.
It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Who's next up? Who's going out next?
Who's going out next? So I well, not to get too into the previews, but just based on I
didn't see the preview.
Just based on what we're talking about tonight, it really feels like that either Kellen or Angela's number is going to be up next.
I agree.
It feels like that Kellen had an opportunity here. And not just at that last tribal council last week, but, coming into the game, it just felt like that she had all of these pawns, the Desirees. I know Desiree wanted to vote against her, but I think it was because she felt like that, she wasn't part of Kellen's big plan. But between the Desirees, the Chelseas, the Angelas, the Seabass before he went off with Dominic and Wendell, it just feels like that she had a lot of parts that she could have put together to make, a group of 5 where she could have done something and picked up Michael and some Malolos and made a run at this.
You were right that it was Sarah's vote steal. Sorry about that. I thought Sarah had mine, so I thought it was a different one. But you were right that it was Sarah's vote steal.
Sarah did have a vote steal, but this was a extra vote. Like,
it became an extra vote because whatever it was. Yeah.
It was, yeah.
They go through weird changes on Ghost Island.
Ghost Island gets crazy.
Yeah. And then too, like with Laurel and Donovan, like so many opportunities. It's just been really frustrating to see people just miss the opportunities that are presented.
To be clear about this, because we'll get tweets that Sarah did not have your. That was not Ghost Island. She had that her letter referenced that you did not play yours correctly, but she would have her own opportunity to play it or misplay it with her own thing. But
no. In my head, for some reason, when you said you're absolutely right. Yeah.
The letter, her note referenced you, but it was not.
It wasn't actually mine.
Okay,
it's good because
All right, Steven, let's start to look at some of our questions here. But first, let me take a moment and thank our sponsor, our friends over at CanvasPeople.com. Steven, are you familiar with the fine work they're doing over at CanvasPeople.com?
Well, tell me about it.
CanvasPeople.com. They are turning your photos from your phone and your camera into beautiful works of art.
Oh, wow.
Steven, I know you have so many pictures that you have that you probably would love to have hanging up behind you in your lovely
Dominic. So fire making means there's no vote at the final 4. Both Wendell and Dominic have idols. The last time they can play them, I think, is the final 5. That means realistically, she only has 2 tribal councils to get out both of these guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot. Steven, I want to, do you relate to Laurel at all based on the situation that you were in Tocantins when it was a final 2 and not a final 3? But did you feel that way at all about going to the end with JT, where it felt like, okay, well, if I get to the end, this is more of a safe thing? And I know JT was immune down the stretch, but it would have been, had he not been immune, less of a sure thing to get to the end, but a better chance to win.
I think it's very different. I mean, I don't want to go too down the rabbit hole of Tocantins because, I mean, there I thought I was in a great position at the Final Four. If I'd backstepped JT, I would have been the next person gone. I don't think that's totally analogous to where Laurel is right here. But it is scary. Like on the one hand, because it's like, let's say she does. I think we all were shouting at the screen, Laurel, make the move, vote for Wendell. But if she does that, do we really think that Kellyn and Chelsea and Angela are going to take her to the finals with them? Absolutely not. What do you think is the right move here, Rob?
You know what? I think that they should have pulled the trigger tonight. And here's the twist, though. I don't think they should have voted out Wendell. I think that the move would have been for Kellyn and Donathan for Laurel and Donathan to vote with the girls and vote out Seabass tonight, because I think that it was really a bad night for Laurel and Donathan, because it seems like, hold on a second, we were talking about they were in a Final Four with Dominic and Wendell. Now here's Seabass also, and he, I believe, might be more loyal to Dominic and to Wendell, who were original Navidi, than he is to Laurel and Donathan. So if push comes to shove and these two pairs need to vote somebody out at 5, I think now that Seabass could be somebody who votes with Dominic and Wendell and is feeling like the third amigo there, and Laurel and Donathan may have been pushed down a peg tonight.
I don't agree with you. I think that like if her move is to recognize that she's in a losing position and to take out someone who could beat her at the end, then she's got to take out someone who can beat her at the end. To recognize she's in a losing position and then to take out someone who isn't really relevant to her endgame chances, like Seabass, I think is like it's not doing anything. She's backstabbing the two guys, Wendell and Dominic, who are her alliance, and she's removing someone who she could possibly beat at the end. I actually think the move was to take out Wendell and then not to I think people are thinking of it rather binarily. On the one hand, you take out Wendell and then you go with the Navidi girls, or on the other hand, you take out Chelsea and you go with the Navidi guys. But I actually think there's a way, the ideal circumstance, and again, this is very much easier to say from this side of the TV screen, is why not take out Wendell this week and then next week flip back? What are Dominic and Seabass going to do? They're going to have the same urgency of getting rid of like Chelsea and Kellyn. Just flip back.
But the issue is that Wendell has an idol. Laurel knows he has an idol. He's on high alert. I think it really hurt their cause that Dominic won immunity. So I think Wendell is sitting there. He told us going into tribal council, if anybody looks at me funny, I'm playing my idol. Right. Then he got enough assurances that he thought he's got a good read on everybody. He knew that Laurel and Donathan were with them. I believe that he would have been able to sniff it out if they actually did flip away from them. So I don't think that was a realistic possibility to go ahead and get Wendell this week. That's why I like the idea of going after Seabass. Really, if you go back a week, though, the real missed opportunity is from Kellyn. When she had the 2 votes, she had the extra vote, and nobody knew she had it. She knew where Michael's vote was going to go on Wendell. For her to vote against Laurel this week and then realize in this episode, we've got to take out Wendell. She had him dead to rights. She could have put her 2 votes on Wendell, and Wendell would have been out of the game with his idol this week.
Wait, why? Tell me why. I want to hit that, but tell me, I didn't give full, I wanted to hear why Seabass, vis-a-vis like my point about him neither being a threat to win nor a threat in any other way. Why vote for Seabass? Like, what does that accomplish for Laurel? Because in my mind, it's like Seabass has the opposite position in the game, where Seabass is someone who, after she votes out a Wendell, maybe Laurel can play with. Seabass is willing to vote against the Navidi women. Maybe Laurel can loop him into her plans.
Because he's just not attached to Laurel or Donathan in any way, that he has only Navidi ties. So he could go back and be a number for the Kellyn side, or now he's a number for the guys in Dominic and Wendell. And Donathan was there. He knows that Donathan starts talking about, okay, this is my final group with Seabass now all of a sudden. And if I'm Donathan, I'm like, hey, and Donathan really didn't, maybe he was like, okay, this is great. Now I'm going to the end with Dominic and now Seabass, but it's just another number in the mix where you had a Final Four and now it's a Final Five. And unless, they're getting like complete assurances that, okay, Seabass is going to be out at 5, I think I'd be wary of that. And if you're Laurel, then if you've got to take a shot here, I mean, this was a guy, you had a free shot on Seabass. It was a number for that side. And then you now have a couple of shots to take out Dominic or Wendell. Potentially they could both play their idol now going into the final 7 at that next tribal council if they don't win immunity, and you have to figure out how to get around that. But I feel like I don't think that shot was there to take out Wendell.
You just think because he's definitely gonna, but like if he's definitely gonna sniff a shot at him at any point in time, why is next week versus the following week versus? I mean, if you're giving Wendell like the superpower of shot sniffing, like why? When will you ever be able? I don't necessarily like Wendell says.
But then then what's
tonight is this episode?
Yeah, but he would. I believe that he would have
just because he told you that because he said he would know. Like that's why you believe.
Well, why are you saying that that tonight is the only night he wouldn't be able to figure it out?
No, I'm just saying tonight was a night that he didn't play an idol. I mean, that much we know.
I think that's being very results oriented because he didn't play an idol because he knew that the two people that were in his alliance were voting with him.
But I guess if we're saying if we're just trying to say what they should have done, what they should have done was voted out Wendell, but been so devious that he didn't even know.